everybody, it's Peter G from the Jim and Peter Show, and as you know, I'm on assignment, and with all these great opportunities that I have when I'm down in the Gulf Coast, because I have so many years of friendships out here, I felt, especially today, very compelled to do something without Jim, because Jim can't be here. But I didn't want to waste some good things, because there's a lot of great stories down here, and especially the one I'm getting ready to introduce you to, because I think that there's a lot of, on the show, we truly believe that we are definitely not professional psychiatrists and therapists and things like that. But we do believe that experience counts for something. And boy, have I brought you some experience today. I want you to meet my friend David. David and I go back, I don't know, about since 2009, David?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. We met because of what we're getting ready to talk about. And I think this is going to be one of my better things, because always in the back of my head, I said, I need this guy on this show, and finally got off my butt to do this besides drinking beer with you.
I don't drink beer. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So, and to make things even better, his story got even better. So we're going to start as close to the beginning as we can, which again, I'm going to ask you some questions or try, and then you're always pretty good at making it sound better than me.
All right.
So let's start from the beginning, kinda. I met you down the street when I was sitting at our local, what do you want?
Enjoying
office?
some libations.
Okay, yeah.
Looking at the water.
At our office.
By
the water.
My office, yeah.
Yeah, your office. And I mean, I was calling it my office too before I knew you. So it's our office. We're sharing space. And then, we got to how you doing, and like always, and we found out that, I was here because my mother was starting to get ill, falling down, and I was taking a break from the house of taking care of her. But in the meantime, I was going through my divorce, found out you had a daughter in
Costa Rica.
Right, so out of the country, but about the same age. I thought it was fascinating, because I thought I had, issues or things like that, and you're managing a little girl from how many miles away,
Well, it's interesting, because the dynamics are similar, but it's just a money situation. It's how do you get money there, and how do you actually get to see what's going on in her life? That's really a major challenge when you're that far away.
And well, more than the fact, here was the thing that pulled us together. We're guys who actually give a shit.
Correct.
Because you know what I'm saying, that there's so many that, I got a child here, and, the mama's baby mama, whatever, but they don't care. They just talk about, I got a son or a daughter, and okay. Whatever.
Well, there's a lot of folks out there that are like that, and somehow I've never been able to grasp that concept, because if I'm responsible for something, I've been in business a long time, and had a lot of people work for me, and you're in that kind of a capacity, you're always responsible for a lot of stuff, whether it's your guests coming in to eat dinner and their health and welfare and safety, and the same thing with your employees. And so walking away from my daughter when she came along was not even close to an option.
I get it, but still, there's people that can do great in business, and they're a mess with their own personal lives.
I agree.
But we're going to back it up even more, because when I met you, not only did you have a daughter, but this is your second round of raising kids.
Correct.
You have 2 grown kids.
No, one.
One?
One.
I thought you had a daughter and a son.
No, just one.
Sorry. Okay, so you got one. You got a son.
39 years old.
39 years old.
And 3 grandchildren.
So that makes you 44.
Close. We don't count numbers.
Yes, I know we don't. But okay, in all fairness, both David and I are older dads. David's got a couple of more years, but not many. But you're an older dad, because you've already done it once, and they're grown. And then somehow or another, were you vacationing in Costa Rica?
No, I wish it was that simple, but I actually lost my business in a hurricane, and I was kind of beside myself, because at the same time, my second wife, within weeks after the hurricane and we lost the restaurant, she decided to leave me. So I was a basket case trying to figure out where life goes.
So you were going and numbing some brain cells, or?
Well, that and that was in September of 2004, and a friend of mine, I went to a Christmas party, and he said, man, you got to get your head screwed on straight, and he flipped me keys to his condo down in Costa Rica. So I said, yeah, I'll go down there. So I flew down in February of that year, and I liked it so much, I found a realtor and went back in April and bought a condo down there. And while I was down there, I ran into this lady that I took a liking to, and she was very pleasant to me. She was actually going through a grocery store line, and she was taking stuff out of her basket because she couldn't afford to pay for it, so I paid for it. She was in front
There's
of me.
the David I know.
Yeah,
Haven't changed since.
I'd found this condo, and I was going to go back and close on it in about 4 or 5 weeks. And I kind of kept in touch with her, and I was thinking in my head, golly, she could go with me to help pick out stuff and set my condo up. So that did happen. I went back there about 4 weeks later and closed on my condo, and we started buying stuff and having it delivered to my condo. And next thing I know, that ironically enough, my second wife was Filipino, and so we always had a rice cooker and rice going. Well, they're unloading all this stuff, and I see this rice cooker come out on my counter, and I said, well, I didn't order that. And she looked at me and goes, you need a rice cooker. So I knew she wasn't going anywhere. And that's kind of...
You bought more than a rice cooker, let me tell you that, buddy.
Well, and we were together for about 4.5 years until, my daughter came along, but then she got interested in other people because I wasn't there on a regular basis. And that's...
Right.
That was par for the course.
True, because when I met you, you travel. You're what do you call your title, kind of?
I'm a regional consultant for a restaurant group.
Yeah, and you're and a good one, because I've talked to David long enough. He's got a lot of common sense. That's why I think today is a really good day, because regardless of my nonsense, what comes out of David's mouth is some good experience. And again, everybody's going to be able to relate to this because it's not just your boat. We all share a giant vessel. Just different. Okay, so you had your daughter, but you're back and forth. You still live in the United States.
Correct.
And you're doing, let me take it back, ex-Marine.
Correct.
Again, we're really pro-military, because I remember that came out in conversation.
Marine Corps, 67, 68, and 69. And that takes you way back.
Drop and give me 20 soldiers. But I'm just saying that we do, it's just kind of weird. I don't know how again, because that comes up, when push comes to shove, it's like, you're messing with a Marine or whatever, It just is. I find that in a lot of common conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But okay. But a true blue guy. So you leave and you're going and supporting them, and your daughter's there.
Well, yeah, it kind of went. I had my condo for about 3 years, and I finally sold it because when I went down there, I spent more time at my daughter's mother's house. Amalia was her name, and still is her name, as a matter of fact. And so, since I was paying for 2 places because she couldn't afford to take care of her place by herself, I just decided to go ahead and sell my condo, and so when I go down there, I was spending time with her and the kids. She's got 2 boys at the time before my daughter came along, older boys. So, it was like a Costa Rican family as when I was down there. But I initially was going down about 5-6 times a year, and now I'm back really working more than I'd like to be. And
well, we all got to work. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So how do you say? But you're managing not even across the country. You're managing from another country, which is really. It's like, at least with my daughter. Had I had to come here, because at the time when I met you, I thought I was going to be moving over here for a while because my parents were getting ill, or at least my mother was, and I was spending quite a bit of time. I was flying back and forth a lot because she kept falling and things were going bad. That's why I was spending so much time with you at our office when you were around. But juggling, at least my daughter was in the country. Your daughter was born in a different country, and she's, from Costa Rica. And unless you go there, that's the only way you're going to see her.
Correct.
I know you were loading her up as she got older. For a young girl, she had a phone at a very young age.
5 years old, I gave her a phone for her birthday because I wanted her to know she could get in touch with me anytime she needed me. It was really, really important that she knew she had a father, and a father that cared. And even if she didn't call me, I'd call at least once a day, a lot of times twice a day. Pretty expensive phone bills. You find some avenues to kind of circumvent some of those costs. But I have always, even when until she came here into the United States, I called her at least once a day, if not twice a day. And I just think it's critical for kids to know that you haven't abandoned them, that when they look around, they know that, yeah, mom might be here, but dad's not too far away.
Right. And even with the Skypes and things like that, your FaceTime, you were doing all the above.
Yeah, initially we weren't doing Skype and FaceTime.
Okay.
That was a little further down the road.
Sure. But at 5, having a phone, again, when Anna got a phone at 8, I was very against it. I go, she doesn't even have pockets in her pants, you know what I mean? And her mother, every time we'd be coming to Florida, her mother would make sure she had a phone as if she wasn't going to get a phone call. You know what I mean? As if I'm abandoning her. Which was total ridiculousness, but either way, she had a phone. But 5, that's pretty young.
But, that's what happens a lot of times through divorce. Because when I went through my very first divorce, and I was married 28 years the first time around, my son, it was one of those instances where my son came home one day and said, I'm buying a house, I'm moving out. And then I realized, holy cow, it's not so much that I like to work. It's like I didn't want to go home, but I went home because I had a son there. Once he was leaving, I thought, good Lord, I don't even need to go home anymore. And then my wife at the time tried to convince my son, who was, 18, 19 years old, that I was leaving both of them, was where that kind of went when you decide to make the split. And that,
Ugly divorce?
you know what?
I don't think any divorce is good.
It's not good, but
some are
I
better.
mean, she was a good woman, did a great job raising my son, terrific advocate for him, but I gave her everything except the restaurant. I told her she could have absolutely everything but my restaurant.
28 years is a long time to be married.
Yeah.
It's a long time. I couldn't make it 5. I mean, I tried. I mean, it takes 2.
I don't know that I want to do anything 28 years.
I'm just saying. So okay. So after that, when I met you again, but the David that I met at our office, that's what we're officially calling it now.
Okay.
David was out having fun. David, because your daughter's in Costa Rica now, no matter how much you manage her, you don't have her. Although you talk to her, you physically see her through the phones now and technology, but you're working, and David's time is David's time. Correct?
Correct.
You were out. I remember. It's like, which girlfriend? Every time I come back, it's like, Dave. What girlfriend you got now? Because you're out, and rightfully so. You're entitled. You responsible man. You make a living. You have you're okay. As I'd keep coming back for the trips, I'd watch the intensity of, your desire, because your daughter is in Costa Rica, and I'm watching you slowly wish that she was here, because when you brought her here, you'd only bring her here for what, a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, she'd been here 3 times prior to her moving here.
Yeah.
And she started assimilating very well. And matter of fact, it was just a year ago she was here over 4th of July.
Right, and you spoiled the shit out of her, by the way. I mean, and I get it. You're just so happy they're here, because that little time you get is the most important thing to you.
Correct.
And I'm watching, because I'm watching from afar, because we're Facebook friends, and we talk, and I go, holy moly, this little, and you always took good care when you'd go visit in Costa Rica. The good thing was you were able to stay with your ex over there, right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, since I pay for everything, that's just.
And that was another thing.
understood.
You not only supported your daughter, you supported the mother of her daughter and her family as well, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, she's, like I said, she had 2 kids. She got remarried. I actually paid for the wedding when she got remarried.
You paid her to get married.
And then I paid when she divorced this guy.
Oh my God.
Just because I was trying to keep everything on some kind of an even keel for my daughter.
Right.
And that's really, that's just so critical. People think you're crazy about this, but if you just didn't take care of the rest of that family, I mean, the money doesn't go just to your daughter when you send money for food. And, like she'll call me and say, Dad, I want to go to McDonald's. If she's here with me, I can just take her to McDonald's. But
Right.
she has to actually call, and I got to send money. And then you got to send enough money that the whole family can go. So it's,
like I said, you've been, in my opinion, again, you're fortunate. Obviously you don't consider yourself rich, but you do okay. You've done okay.
we're doing okay.
We're doing okay. But I mean, look, you got a roof over your head. Every time I see you, it's we're not starving. You're not starving. I'm not. But you've done okay enough to be able to afford. Because if you couldn't, you can't. If you
Right.
can't, but you've managed to financially not only take care of your daughter, but her whole friggin' family too. I mean, and I'm going, holy moly, because I couldn't do it. If I had to do something like that, I couldn't do it. I got destroyed, and there's just no way. I'm lucky to be, as far as I'm concerned. And this is what happens with a lot of people. But yet, you managed to not only take care of them, but you've managed to keep it amicable. You know, I mean, regardless of whether you have words with her on disagreements, so far.
Oh, we got plenty of those.
Really?
Oh yeah, we got
In Spanish or English?
both.
Both. Is it like half and half?
No, it's more English.
Because you did pick up the language, which.
We do okay with it. But,
Okay.
You know, there was several obstacles even after my daughter was born, because when her mother said that she was pregnant, my first instinct was, golly, it may not be mine. I mean,
You're not always there.
I'm not always there,
Yeah.
and so, you know, I wouldn't let any of my information or name or anything get on the birth stuff. And my attorney actually communicated with Amalia for probably 4 months after she told me she was pregnant. And then after, I think it was somewhere around, my daughter was 1 year old, and it started to occur to me, like, there's nothing that shows she has a father other than I'm there. And as it went down the road, and I think she was about 3, I decided, and I got an attorney down there, and I said, I got to make her a U.S. citizen. I'm going to be the father. I said, and quite frankly, if they want to do some kind of paternity test, I'll do it. But no matter what it comes out like, I'm the father. I mean, because that's not a relevant thing for me. It was, she needs a father. I'm going to be her father. And we went ahead and we did that. It took about a year for them to realize or to acknowledge that she was a citizen by birth and she was my daughter. And so that was a big obstacle, but that cost several $1,000s.
And you learned, and again, I remember you always telling me, and we talked about it just the other day, again, on how Costa Rican law is not like American law, as if American law isn't a bitch as it is if you're not accustomed to it, to dealing with those kind of things. That was the biggest thing that killed me about my divorce. I hated the politics, the administrative crap, all the filings. That's why I had to have an attorney. That's why I went broke, because I'm not good at that stuff, and I wasn't going to go into court unarmed, so to speak. And then here you are in some other country, and you're telling me it's completely different the way they do things, even though they kind of have a take with the U.S., still not the same.
Still not the same, no. I mean, their whole system of law is so different. And if you're a U.S. citizen, I mean, it's pretty immediate. If they can just keep you from leaving the country. If a mother complains about you and says, "Oh, he hit me," I mean, you just don't run. I mean, they'll block you from leaving immediately. And so
we're sitting at our office time after time when I'd fly in and I'd see you and hey, okay, which girlfriend this month or whatever, but yet, we'd always be talking about
You're making
family.
me sound like a floozy.
No, I'm not. I'm making you sound like a healthy guy that's got time to, I mean, let me put it this way. It's not that you have a different girlfriend. You've admitted to me that you're just not good with relationships.
Well, I sort of am, but I don't know that I want anything to last forever anymore.
Well, you know what I mean. It's just like, if it doesn't pan out, you're just better off at saying, well, that one didn't work. You got to try, even though you think it may work, so somebody else got different plans.
Well, I think as we get further down the road, I mean, I don't think anybody meets someone and, you plan on not staying together. When you start falling in love, the idea is it's going to last forever. But life gets in the way, and especially if you have children, all of a sudden you kind of grow apart, and then trying to stay that close together as you were when you first met is really, really tough, because you got all these fireworks going off, and then all of a sudden, oh God, you put up with all of the menstrual cycles and everything else that goes on, and and the same thing for the woman. All of a sudden, oh shit, she's doing your laundry all the time, she's cooking for you, she's going, what the heck? This isn't what I signed up for. I remember my second wife says, we need a housekeeper because I'm not marrying you to be a housekeeper. So, and I get that. I mean, because even now being single, I mean, I still have a housekeeper that comes in and cleans, but boy, with having my daughter with me now, it's like I do laundry every day, and it's a full-time job.
It is a full-time job. I mean, that's the thing. And if you can't afford it, you got to do it all. And most of these people are struggling and trying to work, and as I said, juggling how to pick up the kids, how to do all this, which we're getting. We're slowly going to get to, because there's more to this. So Again, it's building up to that big home run. So we're sitting there, and then you're still juggling, but your daughter's there, so it gives you all this time, and you still, because you travel when you work. About how much out of the month are you gone?
Well,
was gone.
I was traveling. I was actually spending about 170 nights a year in a hotel.
Okay.
And I travel 9 states and the Middle East, and so I could be gone for a couple days at a time, up to 2.5, 3 weeks at a time.
Right. Okay. But you could, because you're alone. No
Right.
responsibility, kinda.
Correct.
Later on, we're getting here and talking about things, another trip, and then last year we sat in our office and we discussed, you were talking about you really want to bring your daughter here to get an American education, but we're trying to figure out how to do it.
Correct.
And that was the big talk, because you knew in your mind that if you did bring her here, you travel too much, just like I did, and I've completely stopped because I had to, because my situation was I have no cooperation with my ex. Well, I kind of do, but none to be bragging about, and the thing was, I fought tooth and nail and I didn't want to leave, but different situations, same story though. How do you handle your kids when you're traveling? Because, you're alone, kind of.
Correct.
Right?
Well, correct. And the bigger piece of that was, what was nice is her mother even had at several points in conversation said it would probably be good for her to go to school, because I was paying for her to go to some after school English classes and stuff, and they did a lot of, it seemed like, repetitious of cow instead of baka, but she never really got to the sentence part of the communication, and so she had a couple years worth of English behind her, but not enough to really be able to communicate when she came to the U.S. And so her mother thought that would probably be a good idea. And of course, the school system over there, even though they say it's a good school system, I'll tell you what, if a teacher is sick, she just calls the students and tells them to stay home. There's no substitutes. So the teacher, they could be out for a week if a teacher's sick. And then the teachers, once a month, go to the Capitol in San Jose, and they have to protest because they didn't get paid. So you can imagine what kind of education these kids are getting. They're doing a job that they don't even get paid for.
Right.
And my daughter, the one time I took her to school when I was there for a week, every time we go there, bell would ring, we'd be standing outside the room, and she says, I don't know why we come, Daddy, but she's never here on time. So the teacher was teaching them to be late. I mean,
and I hate.
And that's
late.
the kind of stuff that goes on
I know.
you can call it what you want, but it's really a third world country.
It is a third world country.
They got this health system that is supposed to be free, and we've actually, if you go to the hospital, you'll spend the whole day sitting waiting to see a doctor. You just take a number. There's no triage or anything like that. And we actually saw a woman one day sitting there with her baby, and her baby died in her arms while she was waiting to get in to see a doctor.
Right.
And you never see the same doctor. My daughter's scared to death of doctors because of that.
It's safe to say that, just stepping it back a little bit more, you jumped through hoop. Your daughter, again, that was the biggest thing that glued us together, besides the beer. That was a couple. It's like a salad. You need a couple of things to make it all right. You know what I mean?
To loosen up.
Yeah, that's what we did, because you were just airing your head out. I definitely was coming here to air my head out. My head was so messed up back when I met you. I just had it. I was getting kicked from every direction, and all the people I loved. And no intention with my parents, because they're just getting old, and that's just life. But I was spinning. But safe to say that I quickly found out that you would jump through hoops for you adore your daughter. There's no doubt about it. The light, the smile in your eyes. Right now, same thing. We know that there's no other thing in our life, and you can't surround yourself and just immerse yourself in only your daughter. Because I think I'm crazy like that too, because it's just like my daughter, whatever it takes. Number one primary goal, make sure she's going to be okay, and I know it is yours too. But I'm trying to wean myself to have a balance, to let her grow a little on her, to you got to rough it too.
No, you don't want her to grow.
No, I don't.
My daughter is 9 years old, and she was only in school for one quarter this year, coming from Costa Rica, and when 4 kids wrote in her book that she's beautiful And I'm saying, this is third grade. And I looked at her teacher and I said, who did that? She says, well, I know the boys in the class. She says, I didn't even know what girls were in third grade.
Time for the Marine to go get a shotgun.
Oh my golly, I'm just going crazy. Like they're noticing my daughter already in third grade.
Look, I just saw yesterday because Anna did that horse shocking horse show with my daughter, but she helped our friend Burma do this horse show this whole weekend. And it's a big talk because she did it last year for the first time. And if you look at last year's picture versus this year's picture, holy crap, she went up, and from this chunky, the thick little girl to she's starting to take it up, and she grew taller, and her responsibility level, that she was the talk. Burma just was telling me, she says, you need to be proud. She says, everybody's talking about your daughter, how she took over and just took the reins and did stuff over there. And that's what happens.
That's remarkable, isn't it? I mean, it makes you feel good.
I do feel good. I'm very proud, because you should be proud, because we put time into this. We are definitely not the guys that like just go do something, go hang, and because that happens a lot. This is why we talk about this show. There's so many people that give a shit, and for the ones that do, this is why we're here, because it's a struggle, which is going to bring us up to kind of this year. I was calling you from Florida because I was just seeing and I know you wanted to bring her here. You finally got your daughter here.
Correct.
So you got her here, and then here we go. I see your face. You got her here, but now David's world has got to get some big. It's not just 2 weeks. It's not I'm taking 2 weeks off from work. David's got a lot of readjusting to do.
Well, unfortunately for her, I mean, I brought her back right in the middle of Easter vacation and to live. And so I was the only playmate. We couldn't get her into school till the kids went back after Easter. And, by the end of the second week, she was fit to be tied, just being with only me all the time.
The thrill is gone.
Oh, yeah. And
the thrill
of course,
is gone.
Most of my friends, well, none of my friends have children her age. I mean...
Yeah, they're all grown.
So it's, I ran in different circles, and it took a little bit to get her into things she wanted to do, into gymnastics, and get her into the school. And boy, that was another whole fiasco, trying to get all the records from Costa Rica necessary and get her in. And
shots, things like that.
Shots, everything. And,
did you know about all this stuff, or you?
I knew it, and I thought I had everything I needed, but it wasn't quite that simple.
I had to learn all that stuff. My ex wouldn't tell me nothing. I had to get and be so proactive, and just thank God for the help of administrative people that would. I go, listen, I'm going through a divorce. I'm not really well accustomed to this. I need help, and I did get help, but I didn't know if you knew where to look. You know what I mean?
Well, fortunately, my daughter's godparents live here, and
how did that occur?
Well, back when I first started going to Costa Rica and bought my condo, and before my daughter was born, a lot of people that I know, new people, and then one day somebody, and I can't even remember who it was, but they said, oh, we know this guy from Costa Rica, and he's a bouncer at a place here in town, and you need to meet him. So one day I ran into him, and we talked, and ironically enough, his mom lived pretty close to where my condo was in Costa Rica, and he was married to a lady from Mexico, and of course they're both very fluent in Spanish. They got two beautiful daughters, and their daughters call me Uncle Tio. So it's kind of a neat relationship. And then when my daughter came along and we were going to get her baptized, they were actually going to be in Costa Rica at the same time, and I said, would you be the godparents of my daughter? And of course, in my mind, it's always kind of a formality thing, more so you never really think somebody's going to have to step up.
But that's the real reason there are godparents. So it makes me really think hard. It's like, are they going to be just godparents that okay, we were at your thing, we all got a buzz, and we baptized your daughter and don't see her again? Or are they going to be people that would be there in case?
Well, and that's what happened. I mean, because there was a major issue that transpired, started a Super Bowl Sunday, and it ultimately culminated. I flew down the 12th of March and flew back with my daughter on the 13th because of some things that happened within the four walls of our house with my daughter and her mother's boyfriend. And so I got her out of the situation, and when all this happened and started, I was having conversations with the godparents, Marcy and Eric. And
they live where?
They live right here in Gulf Breeze.
How did they end up here?
They were
always here.
They were, yeah, they've always.
Okay, so it's coincidence, pure coincidence. You met. Okay.
That I met them, and we've been friends, and they became godparents because I asked them, and when I told them what was going on, they said, whatever we got to do, we'll do it. And that was just mind-boggling because I never, like I said, anticipated
Right.
that I'd have to
Rely.
actually rely on somebody.
Right.
But they said, we know you travel. When you travel, she can stay with us. And so that kind of dictated a lot of what happened after I brought my daughter here. I mean, she goes to in a different school system, which was not an easy task, but we used their address as her permanent address, and I
Sure.
actually had to have an attorney make them guardians, which helped.
Okay.
So we've got,
that's not uncommon.
not
but
uncommon.
Just more hoops to jump through. But
Yeah.
you now you permanently got your daughter. You got your ex. Not even your ex. You never married.
Never-
Molly, right?
never
Okay,
married.
but so then your baby mama. No. but you got her to sign off and say, okay, because we were talking, and it's a struggle to get get a child from one country to another permanently. But they in agreement that you were also already talking to try and get her here so she could be better educated. But this just expedited the whole damn thing in an unfortunate way, but not survivable. Correct?
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, when everything started, I mean, it just, the system over there took on a mind of its own, and I ended up having to hire another attorney. And for my daughter's safety, I got her out of the situation, and I told him, I said, I'm coming in on this date. I need all the paperwork necessary for her mother to sign to give me full guardianship and responsibility for my daughter. And she signed the papers, and like I said, it was an overnight deal. I flew in one day and flew out the next with my daughter. So
That's not easy.
no, because actually,
That's-
the guy that actually got me going down to Costa Rica initially, he goes, God, he says, I know people that have worked years trying to get their kids out of there, and I know a guy that spent $800,000 trying to get their kids out of there, and they can't do it. And I'm just fortunate that, I tell you, surrounding yourself with the right people, and I've just been lucky.
I think that goes true with life in general,
Well,
right?
it is. It is. I mean, and it's you got to make time for a lot of people, especially in what I do, and I think it's important because then people want to help you, and it's.
I think I get that too, because again, I could come home and this is my problem with being home right now is people are seeing, and they go, hey man, you in town? It's like, we need to get together. It's like, holy moly, there's one of me and 4,000 of you guys, and I love everybody. I mean, Pensacola's been really a great place for me to grow up, and I love my friends, and I've got people that are so messed up with their own lives, but when I see them, they go, how's your mom and dad doing? I go, well, they're okay. They go, listen, if you ever need anything, just let me know. And I'm thinking, and I appreciate that, but I'm thinking in my head, man, you got your own set of problems, and here you are offering to help me. I appreciate it, but I ain't calling you unless it's life or death. But that's what friendship does.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because I look at I've been around a little bit longer than you,
A couple of years.
It's like you talk about people's problems. It's life. Everybody, if you spend enough time talking to people, everybody has challenges and issues, and it's just life. It's your story. It's your history, whether you like it or not. It is. And to think that nobody else has issues, or you'd be goofy to think that. I mean, you just go, God, if I could just have some more money. Or, I mean, there was some kind of study I heard about where one of the studies said that, well, the number usually was if I could just have $10,000 more. And then if they got $10,000 more, they still needed more. Somehow you got to find the happiness right where you're at. And it took me a while to get until my daughter.
Oh, it's still taking me.
I mean, it's always nice to have more money. You'd like to do more stuff, but I'll tell you what, every time I see my daughter at night and she goes to sleep, and a lot of nights I have to lay with her before she'll actually go to sleep, but I just thank God for this little kid, and I just want her life to be good, and I know she's going to run into a lot of challenges, and it's a matter of teaching her how to overcome the challenges.
Absolutely.
Because we run into this. I mean, I tell her to call her mother every night. She doesn't do it. Her mother actually was mad the other day because I wouldn't send money, and imagine that. And I mean, and there was reasons for that. But then she called my daughter and told my daughter that she's going to call immigration and make her come back home.
See what I mean?
And my daughter was crying, and I took the phone away and I hung it up, and now my daughter doesn't want to talk to her mother for the moment. And I told her today, I said, you need to talk to your mother and let her know you're okay. when you start taking sides, that's a major problem for a kid, because the kid
is in the
loves
middle.
both.
They're in the middle. But this is, and again, we've talked about this subject a million times, and I'll probably be talking about it again. But here you go. Now, okay, so we'll get down to it, because now all of a sudden there's a little bit of trash talk, and your daughter's caught in the middle of it. What do you do? How do you? Because this is going to happen again. You know it's going to happen again and again. And I mean, what do? Do you sit and you're going to have to give her a call and say, look, this isn't going to help the situation? You telling her?
Well, we had that discussion the next day.
In English or Spanish?
No, we did it in both.
But both. Bilingual people. He's talented.
So what happened, I mean, I wasn't going to talk to her when she had her daughter cry. And I told her, I said, you cannot make your daughter cry. That is, if we have issues, you got to talk to me about it, but don't bring her into it.
Because you're not holding your daughter for ransom.
Oh,
You're here doing the best you can, but yet you're still supporting that whole thing down there, which is very noble of you, but they don't see it that way. They think of it as the norm, correct?
Yeah, kind of, I guess. I mean, I don't know what they think is normal, but
dude, you've spoiled the hell out of them as far as I'm concerned.
In my mind, my daughter would never forgive me, knowing that I have supported them all this time, and now she's actually got 3 brothers. If her 3 brothers and her mother had no place to live and no food, that would not make her happy.
A minute ago it was 2 brothers, now there's 3.
Well, but because when she got married after we split, she had a baby with that guy.
She's pretty fertile, huh?
Well, we know what she likes.
Okay. Holy moly. I mean, I guess that's kind of common in those...
Matter of fact, Allison was looking on Facebook last night and said, I think Mommy's got a new boyfriend. I said, oh God, just what she needs.
Yeah. Now she needs to work on that a little bit. Okay. We're going to stop right now, David, because I'm getting ready to ask you some questions that are going to take us into the second half of taking your daughter, and now we're going to be in your domain. Your life is getting ready to change because you're going to be full-time, and this is an issue a lot of people have, but I can't do it right now because I know it's getting ready to be a long segment. So we're going to have to split this in 2 parts, people. I want to invite you to come back and listen to the interview of my friend David on the second half of the Jim and Peter Show, because it's information I know that's crucial to you. It's something that you need to have in your head because it's from day-to-day use and it's very useful. Don't forget to share, and thank you. YouTube, Facebook, iTunes. You can listen to it on demand whenever you want, and we love you because the show's growing. Don't forget to tune back in next week. Jim can't be here, but he's listening, and we'll be back together again as soon as I get through for my in-depth, it's a vacation. So, talk to you soon.
Jim and Peter.